I was just walking past a ditch in the neighboring village on the morning of my college entrance exam when Vanessa Collins pointed at me, a mute girl, and blamed me for the death of Ethan Carter's mother. After the exam results were released, I was the only one from our village who made the list. But on that same day, my so-called husband Ethan Carter locked me in the woodshed, took my admission letter, and handed it to Vanessa. "Be obedient, Claire. Let Vanessa go to college in your place. She'll definitely repay you one day," he said. I actually believed him. But what I got in return was being handed off to Rick Walker, the village creep who'd already buried 3 wives. "You're a murderer. You think you deserve to go to college?" he spat. "Just like the villagers always said, you're cursed. You belong in the mud." The day I was tortured to death by Rick, Ethan used the food coupons I had saved as my dowry to marry college student Vanessa Collins. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day the exam results were posted. Ethan stood in front of me, fake gentle, asking the same question from my past life. But this time I could speak. "If you let me go to college, I'll repay you." His expression froze. He gripped my sleeve tightly. You can speak now." My heart skipped. I was reborn and I could talk. But I didn't want anyone to know just yet. Before I could figure out how to answer him, a flirtatious voice rang out from outside the door. "Ethan, come see this new skirt I made. Isn't it pretty?" Vanessa swirled in, wearing a yellow dress. Ethan's eyes lit up, and he replied dotingly, "It looks great. Wear it to college." I stared at her coldly, still remembering the mocking looks from people in my past life. Back then, just to sew a flashy skirt, Vanessa stole 50 kilograms worth of food coupons from home and traded them for fabric, then pinned the theft on me, saying I used them to support some man. Ethan didn't even bother figuring out the truth. He punished me by stripping me naked and forcing me to point out which man I had supposedly slept with. I didn't react then, and I wouldn't now. I signed to Vanessa with calm eyes. "Nice skirt. Must have cost a lot." Ethan's brows creased. "You must be exhausted from the factory. You're hallucinating again." Vanessa glanced at me, her voice laced with fake sweetness. "Totally worth it for college." I sneered inside. I never agreed to let her take my spot at university, but clearly, the two of them had reached some silent agreement. "But Vanessa," I signed steadily. "I got the admission letter. I never said I'd give it to you." Her face dropped. She immediately grabbed Ethan's arm, panicked. He frowned at me with dissatisfaction. "You're already married to me. Let's have a baby soon. Why do you need college if you're about to be a mom?" I ignored him and walked straight into the house. I opened the closet door, turned to Vanessa coldly, and signed, "These are the only food coupons left. You were the only one home yesterday." She clearly hadn't expected me to confront her now. Her face went pale, and her legs wobbled. "Claire, how could you say that about me?" she stammered. "You're the one who gave them to some guy, and now you're trying to blame me because you're afraid Ethan will find out." Her eyes teared up on cue. Ethan stepped in front of her protectively and scowled at me. "Who is he? You gave away our food coupons to another man?" I wanted to laugh at how predictable they were, but I kept a straight face. "I saw Vanessa give them to Lily Brooks from the next village to trade for fabric. If you don't believe me, let's go ask her together." Vanessa panicked and grabbed my arm, shoving herself backward when Ethan couldn't see. "Ah, Claire, I admit you pushed me. Just don't wrongly accuse me." Ethan's expression changed. He rushed to cradle Vanessa, staring at the scratch on her calf like it was some fatal wound. "Claire Bennett, you evil woman. If anything happens to Vanessa, I swear I'll make you pay." I clenched my fists and watched them leave. Once they were gone, I hid the admission letter. Ethan didn't come home until night. I ignored him and locked the door. Just when I was drifting off, a loud banging woke me. I opened the door and found villagers holding torches. "Claire Bennett, you've been cheating with men. According to village rules, you're getting thrown in a pig cage." I frowned and spotted Ethan among the crowd. Before I could react, several strong women grabbed me. I couldn't fight back and was stuffed into the cage. Through gritted teeth, I looked at Ethan's emotionless face. If you tell me which man you gave the food coupons to, you'll suffer less, he sneered. I trembled in the cold and signed firmly. Vanessa stole the food coupons. Not me. My hands kept moving even as the villagers lifted the cage and dragged me toward the river. She's a college student? My daughter Sarah knows better than to sleep around. Bet that admission letter's really Vanessa's. Their words hit me like ice. The frigid river swallowed me. I couldn't breathe. Just as I was about to pass out, someone shouted, "Yeah, Vanessa traded food coupons with me for fabric." I rushed here when I heard the rumor. I vaguely recognized Lily's voice. Ethan pulled me from the water with trembling hands and a regretful face. When I opened my eyes, I was in the village clinic. Vanessa lay in the next bed. I looked at the scratch on her calf and laughed coldly. So dramatic. All for Ethan's pity. She smirked. "You're just a mute who's good for taking the fall. It's your fault for being in the wrong place during the exam." She twirled something in her hand. I squinted. It was the bracelet Ethan's mother had given me. She was like a mother to me when I had no one. I would never hurt her. My chest tightened. I stood up to grab the bracelet, but Vanessa raised it high. I climbed out of bed, heart racing, and that was when the curtain lifted. I looked closely. That was clearly the bracelet Ethan's mother had given me. I was a mute girl without parents, but after I married Ethan Carter, his mother had treated me like her own daughter. She raised me with kindness, warmth, and care I had never known. How could I ever harm her? My chest tightened as the pain surged back, and without thinking, I stood up to take the bracelet. Vanessa Collins raised it high, forcing me to climb out of bed. Just then, the curtain was pulled back. "Oh, Ethan, you see? I told you she's been pretending to be weak. Look at her now, strong enough to snatch things," Vanessa said, lowering her hand with mock innocence. Ethan saw what she was holding, and his gaze immediately turned ice cold. "My mother's dead. Why are you still pretending to be some dutiful daughter?" My heart bled at the mention of his mother. I didn't flinch or cry. I just signed weakly, "Ethan Carter, let's get a divorce." He looked stunned at first, clearly rattled by my calm demand. But then Vanessa whispered something in his ear. "If you divorce her now, she'll be all alone. She won't survive without you, and she'll have no choice but to crawl back later." Ethan's face relaxed, like he bought into her twisted logic. I almost laughed. How pathetic could they be? "Fine. You want a divorce? Let's head to the Civil Affairs Bureau later," he said. And just like that, the marriage certificate in my hand turned into a divorce decree. That suffocating weight pressing on my heart for so long finally lifted. I was free. Ethan Carter no longer had anything to do with me. Once I retrieved my admission letter, I would chase the college dream I never got to live in my past life. But freedom didn't come without noise. The moment I stepped outside the village, a swarm of nosy ants circled me like vultures. "Claire, how are you going to survive on your own now that Ethan dumped you? Aren't you scared of being laughed at?" I shot a cold glance at the sharp-tongued Onite was Vanessa's aunt. I calmly signed, "Ethan and Vanessa are together. I can't live with him. I'm going to college. I'll live just fine." When I got home, I took out the hidden admission letter. But the peace didn't last. Vanessa came storming in with her usual smugness. "You and Ethan are divorced, and you still have the nerve to live here? Shameless." Her eyes caught the admission letter, and without a word, she lunged for it. "Give it to me, you dumb bitch. What's the point of you going to college, anyway?" I gripped the letter in one hand and slapped her hard with the other. "Ah, you hit me. Just wait, I'll get Ethan to make you pay," she shrieked and stormed off. I didn't even notice the poison flashing in her eyes. But I wasn't stupid. I wasn't going to sit around and wait for Ethan to show up. I packed my things in minutes and left. On the way out, I passed the cowshed and noticed the cows breathing weirdly. I didn't give it much thought and kept walking toward the gate until the two cows suddenly charged at me like they were possessed. They slammed into me, broke the door, and ran off. My calf throbbed with pain. My hands were shredded from the gravel, blood dripping down. I tried to call for help, but then I saw Vanessa stepping out from the shadows. With Ethan. My body froze. I reached my hand out instinctively, hoping they'd help. But Vanessa smirked and kicked me while Ethan wasn't looking. "Ethan, you're so clever." "This made things a lot easier," she cooed. I stared at him in shock. "So, this was their plan all along?" "Look at her face. Ethan just gave the cows a little medicine so they'd go crazy and charge at you." Even though I knew he hated me, hearing that made something inside me break. When Vanessa picked up my admission letter, I shut my eyes tight. Let her stay a few more days. "Once Vanessa starts college, we'll remarry," Ethan said, like I was nothing but a placeholder. When the pain in my leg dulled, I dragged myself to the bedroom. "There's no room for you here. Sleep in the woodshed from now on," he snapped. I didn't say a word. I just turned and hobbled to the woodshed. I didn't sleep that night. I just laid there thinking about how I'd get my admission letter and bracelet back. The next morning, Vanessa kicked open the half-collapsed house and barked at me to cook breakfast. I bit my tongue and made her a meal. She sat there with her usual smirk. "Stay here like a loyal dog, Claire. Ethan and I are heading to town for school supplies." I saw that smugness flicker into irritation when I didn't react. When they left, they locked the outer gate. I wanted to run, but there was no way out. So I rummaged through Ethan's room, hoping to find my letter. That's when I heard footsteps outside. I froze and listened carefully. "Uncle Rick, your new wife's in that room." "Go on in." "She's mute, sure, but she's got brains. The kid she gives you might even get into college. We won't interrupt you." Ha! My blood ran cold. Those voices belonged to Ethan's two scummy factory buddies. Rick, that meant Richard Walker the monster, who tortured me to death in my past life. I panicked and hid in the cabinet. My body trembled remembering the past. "Ethan Carter, you're still the same ruthless bastard." I held my breath as I heard Rick stumble toward the cabinet. "Huh? No one here? Is Ethan screwing with me?" I prayed in silence, groping for anything in the darkness, and to my shock, I found it. My bracelet. My admission letter. Just as Rick reached to open the door, I slammed it into his face. He yelped in pain. I didn't wait. I bolted, dragging my injured leg as fast as I could. "Wife. Why were you running?" he shouted and lunged at me from behind. I screamed and smashed a wash basin over his head. He staggered back. I fled toward the woodshed and grabbed the matches I had hidden before. With trembling hands, I struck a match and tossed it into the dry firewood. I limped away from the yard as flames roared behind me, black smoke rising into the sky. I left the village behind that night. With the savings I'd squirreled away, I bought a train ticket to the city and rented a tiny apartment. When the semester started, I brought my admission letter to campus and officially became a college student. The school, knowing my situation, reduced my tuition and even arranged a part-time job for me. They also gave me a part-time job. That day, as I was about to return to the dorm, I noticed people whispering and staring at me. I didn't know why until a group of guys swaggered toward me, smirking. A divorced woman pretending to be some innocent college girl? Shameless. You should just go home and find a man to pop out babies. You think you can study? My fingers curled into fists at my sides. Sarah Johnson, who was walking beside me, didn't hold back. Where did these stray dogs come from? Barking like they own the school. You think you're top dog, huh? The boys turned red with fury. Sarah rolled up her sleeves, ready to throw hands. I quickly stepped in front of her and said calmly to them, "You look down on me because I'm divorced? Because I'm a modern woman? Let's speak with results. I'm confident I'll stay #1 in my major. Can any of you say the same? I'll show you women can outshine any man." That shut them up. They left, clearly humiliated. Someone must have spread my story at school. And sure enough, the next day, I saw Ethan Carter waiting at the campus gate. As soon as he saw me, he grabbed my arm and spat venom. "Claire Bennett, you're a murderer. How can you live peacefully with what you've done? If you drop out and come home now, I might forgive you. We can remarry." I laughed, cold and sharp. You really are pathetic. You believe everything Vanessa says? I was taking the exam all day. She left early and met your mother. She's the one who pushed her, then blamed me. Ethan froze, too shocked to even process that I was speaking. I had no chance, no motive to harm your mother. It was Vanessa. She met her in secret, got scared she'd be exposed, and shoved her into the water. If you don't believe me, go ask John Lee from the next village. His stunned expression twisted into something darker, something vicious. I ignored it and walked away. When the results came out, I was still ranked first. What I didn't expect was for those same boys to come find me and apologize in person. Claire, we're sorry. We listened to the wrong people and acted like jerks. But you proved us wrong. You showed us women aren't inferior to anyone. I smiled and accepted their apology. After the exam, the school gave us a short break. I bought a few gifts in the city and went to visit Ethan's mother's grave. And who did I run into there? Ethan Carter. Why are you here? He asked, startled. I didn't even look at him. I placed the offerings down and said flatly, "Why not? I'm not the murderer." He choked on his words. After a long pause, he muttered, "I've already punished Vanessa. I couldn't care less." Really? I hope it eases your guilt. But he wasn't done trying to prove something. I pushed her into the water, too. I locked her in a room for days. Made her feel the same cold. I frowned and cut him off. I don't care. Don't tell me these things. I turned to leave, but he grabbed my wrist. Vanessa said it was an accident. Why can't you just let this go? I know you still want to remarry me. Let's go now. I wrenched my arm away. Are you insane? But he looked possessed. If you don't remarry me, I'll tell everyone you and Rick Walker had an affair. That was it. I slapped him across the face. Spreading lies? I'll see you in court. You were the one who locked the door, brought him there. Don't even try to throw your filth on me. Just then, Vanessa appeared like a cockroach. Claire, how dare you come back and try to steal Ethan from me? I glanced at her, noticing her slightly swollen belly. I'm pregnant with Ethan's baby. So forget about remarrying him. I sneered and turned away. They weren't worth my time. Back in the village, a few aunts rushed over, all excited. Our college girl is back. Claire, city life must be tough. We all feel bad for you. That Ethan's such a fool, leaving a good wife like you for that Vanessa. Then one aunt lowered her voice and added, You didn't hear? 2 days ago, Ethan caught Vanessa in the woods with a man from the next village. And now she's walking around claiming she's pregnant. Honestly, who even knows whose baby it is? My eyes widened slightly. Vanessa was really broadcasting this? But I already knew the baby wasn't Ethan's. When I returned to school, I ran into another hurdle. Claire, the professor, said only the guys will go on the sales internship. Girls have to stay in the library and read, someone told me. One girl slammed the desk. What the hell? He says we're too soft for real work and only good at theory. That fired me up. I clenched my fists. I'd prove him wrong. A dozen of us stormed into Professor Adams' office and demanded to go. He scoffed. Can you set aside your pride for 1 second? The girls hesitated, unsure. But I stepped forward and said, loud and clear, let us go. I believe we can do it. He looked into my eyes, saw I meant it, and finally waved us off. Fine. Go. But don't freeze up when it counts. When we arrived at the internship store, the crowd was overwhelming. Claire, can we really do this? Asked Shelley beside me. I smiled at her. We promised we'd start a business after graduation. This is just practice. We'll nail it. And we did. We girls crushed the boys in sales using our skills, charm, and attention to detail. By the end of the day, we weren't tired any more we're energized. Even Professor Adams smiled. You proved we picked right in the college entrance exam. You've made this school proud. Time flew. Before I knew it, we had graduated. After graduation, a few of us kept our promise and opened our own daily necessities store. On our grand opening day, we were so excited we got up at 4 a.m. to get everything organized, buzzing with adrenaline. The first day's sales were even better than we expected, but what I didn't expect was to run into Ethan Carter and Vanessa Collins right inside the store. When our eyes met, I saw clear shock on Vanessa's face.
Huh.
Didn't you go to college? Why are you still playing shop girl here? She scoffed. I gave her a calm smile and said, this is our business. Real-world application of what we learned. Before I could finish, Ethan walked over with a child-thin lips, single eyelids, no resemblance to him whatsoever. Vanessa panicked and yanked the child away. What are you looking at? You've been spreading rumors, haven't you? That the child isn't Ethan's? I glanced at Ethan's pale, haggard face but didn't respond. Vanessa turned to me again, her tone sharper. Claire Bennett, didn't you go to college? I've signed up for this year's college entrance exam. I'll definitely beat you this time. Rumor had it, she registered every year but never finished the test. I shrugged and told her, college isn't the only way forward. But she raised her voice, furious. You're scared I'll pass and outshine you. Just because you can speak now doesn't make you special. She was spiraling when security finally dragged her out of the store. I went back to helping customers, but Ethan stopped me. Claire, I really regret everything. I'm suffering every day. I shook off his hand, not even looking at that man who looked like he'd aged 10 years overnight. Then go suffer with her. Why bring your misery to me? Ethan dropped to his knees. Vanessa's child isn't mine. She does nothing but use the exam as an excuse while I break my back at the factory. One night, she talked in her sleep. She said she pushed my mom. I felt like my chest was being ripped open. I looked down at him with complete disgust. Ethan Carter, you earned every bit of this. Don't come crawling to me. You reap what you sow. His dazed face twisted, and then he staggered off with a bitter smile. Their drama didn't affect my work one bit. I poured myself into the business. Years passed, and that tiny store grew into the largest daily goods chain in the city. At first, many suppliers didn't take us seriously, probably because we were women, but I stood there, confident and unshaken. In this new era, anything is possible, I said. We will become your top choice. That's when the manager of a modest supplier stepped forward and said, our company may not be huge, but I believe in Miss Bennett. Once someone led the way, others followed. That little store built from nothing evolved into a full-fledged private company. One day, my old university invited me back to speak as an outstanding alumna. I stood on stage in front of tens of thousands of students and slowly shared my story. When I was almost done, I paused, took a deep breath, and said, everyone here got in through the college entrance exam. But remember, life is more than just one test. You must never stop learning, and you must never give up on yourself. The audience burst into applause, and I felt tears welling up. Backstage, I ran into Professor Adams. He brought a young woman in her early 20s and smiled with meaning. She's just like you were back then. Has nothing, but fights forward on grit alone. I looked at her and saw it had same fire I once carried. I held her hands and told her, if you keep studying, I'll sponsor your entire tuition. After graduation, come join us as our company's strategy advisor. Her name was Emily Dawson, and she kept saying thank you. But I wasn't just helping her, I was helping the version of me from all those years ago. A few days later, on the way back from the tax bureau, I noticed a crowd and heard a commotion near the courthouse. When I looked confused, my assistant explained, apparently, a man just sued his wife for pushing his mom into a river years ago. Said she cheated too. There's a whole scene out there. Something about that sounded eerily familiar. I rolled down the car window and sure enough, it was Vanessa Collins and Ethan Carter. Miss Bennett, should we stop? The driver asked. I didn't even blink.
No.
Keep driving. But Vanessa saw me. Like a madwoman, she rushed to the front of the car and flung herself onto the hood. The driver hit the brakes, and inertia shoved me forward. Miss Bennett, there's a woman blocking the car, he shouted. I rubbed my temple and stepped out. Vanessa's voice rang out shrill and spiteful. It's you. You're the reason I can't live a good life. You're sabotaging me because you're scared I'll get into college. She lunged, but someone held her back. Are these accusations true? The authorities will decide. Claire, I'll kill you, she screamed like a maniac. Just as she raised her hand, Ethan ran over and slapped her across the face. What the hell is wrong with you? Shut up and stop embarrassing me until the investigation's over. He looked at me, eyes heavy and full of regret, and tried to drag Vanessa away. Ethan, you believe her, don't you? Vanessa wailed. You know I didn't sleep around, right? You believe me, right? I stopped them. Didn't you say there was no evidence? Let me help you find it. Ignoring Vanessa's glare and Ethan's shock, I told my assistant, bring him out. And just like that, Daniel Ross stepped forward. The moment Vanessa saw him, she screamed and covered her face. Vanessa Collins, take a good look. Isn't this the biological father of your child? Daniel had come to my company seeking a job a month ago. The more I looked at him, the more familiar he seemed. I asked someone to quietly investigate and, sure enough, found out Daniel Ross was Vanessa Collins's secret lover. I didn't hire him. I just kept him around long enough to deliver the final blow to Vanessa. Vanessa, Daniel gasped, we have a child? How could you lie to me and say you couldn't get pregnant? The crowd erupted into murmurs. Vanessa's face was pale, her mouth open, but no sound came out. Not me, it wasn't me, she stammered. I didn't bother sticking around to watch her spiral. I'd seen enough. While they argued, I turned and walked away. I had more important things to focus on. After that, I buried myself in work. I only heard later, in passing, that Vanessa had been sentenced to a few years in jail. Meanwhile, my company continued to grow. One day, I finally had the ability to do what I'd always dreamed of. I returned to the village, gathered all the aunts and uncles, and stood before them. I told them that if there were children in their families who wanted to go to school but couldn't afford it, they could come to me. Once verified, I would fully support their education. That had always been my dream, that no child should be denied a future because of poverty. I wanted others to change their fate the way I had. Just as I was about to leave, one of the aunts tugged my sleeve. Claire, she said, my boy Jason Miller is already 23. He still dreams of the college entrance exam, but I worry people will look down on him for being too old. I gave her a soft smile and said gently, there's nothing embarrassing about learning. We should learn until the day we die. Her sorrowful face brightened into a surprised smile. Then she leaned in and whispered, Ethan just divorced his wife. The guys at the factory say he's no man at all for letting his wife go to jail. And then accidentally beat a woman to death. Now he's locked himself up and won't come out. I was stunned for a moment but kept my face calm. There's always a price to pay, I said simply. I didn't give it another thought until a few days later, when my assistant informed me that a man was waiting for me outside the company. I stepped out, and there he was, Ethan Carter. The moment I saw him, my eyes turned cold with instinct. His pupils shrank as if pierced by my gaze. Then he dropped to his knees. Claire, I know you hate me, but I have no choice. I killed someone in the factory. Her family wants compensation. I've paid everything I had, and it's still not enough. I know you've made it big now. I'm not asking you to forgive me. Just help me once. I admit it. I let Vanessa frame you. I watched you get thrown in the pig cage. I made all that happen. I've punished her. Please just save me this once. He sobbed while talking, but I just stood there unmoved. When you took my admission letter, did you ever imagine I'd be where I am today? When you locked me up with Rick Walker, did you think you'd end up on your knees in front of me? No one can save you now. Not even me. Don't come here again. Even if I could help, I wouldn't waste a drop of mercy on someone who once wanted me dead. I turned to leave, but he clung to my sleeve like a drowning man. Claire, please just once. I'll protect you forever. I shouted for security. Drag him out. Don't let him step foot in here again. Ethan had no way into the building, so he loitered around outside every day, waiting, begging, hoping to catch me. Then one day, he saw a woman with the same build as me and rushed to hug her from behind without thinking. When she turned and screamed, She called the cops on him for harassment. And just like that, Ethan Carter landed himself in jail reunited with Vanessa Collins. When I heard what happened, I barely reacted. What I truly cared about was seeing Emily Dawson, the girl I once sponsored, come to the company to register after graduation. "Miss Bennett, I'm here to join the team," she said, glowing with confidence. I smiled and opened my arms to hug her. "Welcome to the family," I told her softly. "Let's walk this road together from now on."